All right, your novice 4 riders are on their way.
So today we have the South Park Crit as part of the 2 days of Buffalo stage race. This is a local 2 day stage race with 3 stages. Today, Saturday, is a short prologue kind of TT on road bikes and then a Criterium in the afternoon. Unfortunately, I was unable to participate in the time trial, so this is my first race of the day. Little disappointed that I missed the TT, but I did come into this race a little fresher, so we'll see how that plays out a little bit later. Pretty non-technical course, as you can see from the map. Doesn't really have any technical corners, which allowed for some higher speeds. The wind today was coming from the southwest to the northeast, giving us a little bit of a cross headwind here in this back section. And the combination of the wind and the higher speeds, this course generally does not allow a breakaway to stay away very long and usually ends in a bunch sprint. I came into this weekend knowing that this would likely be the last couple races of the road season for me, and I was coming off a couple wins in the BBC Birthday Crit and the Freedom Run Winery Road Race. And of course, I don't have any GoPro footage from those races after forgetting the battery one week and forgetting the memory card the next. So if you want to check out those races, go check out the bald bearded bicyclist, my man Mac Schneider. He's got more than a few races and commentary and a much higher production value than I do. So if you're interested, go check out his page. He's got some good stuff. So I came into this race with some pretty good fitness. My goal here today was mainly to get some upgrade points and hopefully get enough to get a Cat 3 upgrade going into next season. I really only needed a few points, which I think could have been gotten with a top 5 finish either today or tomorrow in the road race. So knowing that it was likely going to be a bunch sprint, my goal was kind of just to hang back, conserve energy, and give it a go in the sprint at the end if that's how it was going to finish. I didn't really have any desire to get in any breakaway, knowing that it likely would be brought back, but also being lazy, I kind of just wanted to conserve energy and go for a sprint. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a bit because this is pretty much exactly how it looks for the first half of the race or so. So we'll pick it up again here. This is a preem lap for a $50 preem. As you can see, we're about 18 minutes into the race, and so far nothing has really happened. We had one guy go off the front and immediately get brought back. So it's been a pretty easy ride up until now, and as expected, it picked up a little bit on the preem lap. So I'm doing my best to kind of stay shielded coming into this crosswind section. I wanted to move up towards the front. I still wasn't sure if I was going to contest the preem, but being that it was a pretty easy race up to this point, I wanted to at least give myself the opportunity. And if I was at the front, I could make a move, but we'll see how it goes. As you can see, I did a pretty good job moving up with relatively not too much energy spent. I was able to stay shielded and get a pretty easy ride. I think I'm sitting about fourth wheel. But as you'll soon see, my choice in tactics at this point isn't very good. I'm sitting in the wind here, and we have a rider that's going to come up off the front there. And I really should have done a better job of getting on that guy's wheel, because as you see, he opens a little gap, and I'm forced to close, putting out a little bit more power than I want to. Still open, and here comes the dumbest move of the race for me. I come up past the riders and I'm kind of just sitting out here in the wind and then decide to go on an attack. I was able to get a little bit of a gap, but as you could see, I ended up putting out about 1250 watts, and I'm still a fair distance from the finish line and went way too far, way longer than I wanted to. And at this point, I'm kicking myself for putting out this huge effort this early into the race. And I'm looking back, and you can't see it, but I know I'm about to get caught. And we'll see the rider come up on my left side there, and I should have jumped on his wheel. I do put in a little effort to try to get in his draft, but he came up so much faster that there was no catching him. And right about now, I kind of just give up that I'm going to contest the preem. So we'll go back a bit and take a look at what I could have done better. So here we are, I'm about fourth wheel, and the rider is going to come up on the right, going for an attack. And first thing I should have done is try to stick to this wheel a little bit better. I let a gap open up and had to put out a pretty good effort to get back up to him. But even at that point, I still could have done better. And right about here, I should have accelerated into the back of him and used that momentum and energy and slingshot off the side. But instead, I come up beside them and make a pretty obvious attack. And if you notice my speed, I was coming up to them around 29 miles an hour, but slowed down to 23 before making the attack. So what I really should have done is use that speed, accelerate, and create that large speed differential to get a bit of a gap and discourage them from trying to follow. So definitely some things that I can learn from and try to do better in the future and hopefully not make the same mistakes again. So overall, as you see him going to fly by me, a little unhappy with my effort there and really the decision I made to go for the preem. End up spending a little bit more energy than I wanted and didn't really come away with anything. So not what you want, but you live and you learn, I guess. At this point, there was a little concern that the rider would either stay out in front or there would be a counterattack. So it does pick up in speed a little bit here, but doesn't really end up going anywhere. And it all comes back to a large group, and we do slow down considerably. So we'll fast forward again. So we'll pick it back up here. This is the second to last lap. So we'll be getting the bell soon. We're just about to hit 42 minutes. And at this point, we're still in a large group. There's nobody off the front. And I'm sitting here in about eighth or ninth wheel. And it's looking like it's going to finish in a bunch sprint. So I'm getting near the front, making sure nobody goes off on a last lap attack. But mainly just trying to get in position so I don't get caught out on the last lap and have to make a big effort. So Zach right here in the blue, white, and black of IDE, we've raced against each other a few times, and I know that he's got a pretty good pop at the end. This guy right in front of me, not too familiar with, but from what I was told, did really well in the TT, so trying to stay on their wheels. And here we are coming into the finish line. You can see it's a pretty quick run to the finish, so I figured it's going to be a pretty high speed sprint. And I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. There's two kind of trains, and I'm sitting in the middle, but got swamped a little bit, which I didn't really want, but I did get to the right side, which I knew was the shielded side. And you can see I moved up relatively easy as I'm shielded from the wind. This guy here in the Ineos bids, Patrick, is the overall leader at this point. He won the TT, and I've raced against him in the past, and know he's a really strong rider and going to be a good wheel to try to latch on to. And as you saw earlier, he took the preem, so I know he's having a good day and has some pretty good legs, so he's one to watch out for sure. So coming into this little curve here, we're coming in almost to a straight headwind. So I'm just trying to stay shielded as much as I can. I don't want to get boxed in. So take a little bit more wind than I probably need to right now. But I'm really trying to position myself for the sprint, and I know that we're going to have a little bit of a tailwind, so I'm looking to be fourth or fifth wheel coming into that long stretch there on the backside of the course. And we'll see some sketchiness coming up here. For some reason, this part of the course always gets a little sketchy, and partly my fault, but I almost get my front wheel taken out right there. But I know that this is the attack to be on. You see Patrick there on the left, you got Zach right in front of me, and sitting fourth wheel right here is actually a great spot. I had to put out a little bit of an effort to get up to him, and you see we're putting out 400, 500 watts, going a little over 30 miles an hour. And at this point, we're all getting ready for the sprint. And there goes Patrick launching his sprint probably a little early. And as you see, I'm on Zach's wheel. He's already standing. And unfortunately for him, it turns out he's basically just leading me out. I'm still in the saddle completely at this point and haven't really put out a huge effort. So as they're both tiring, I start my sprint there, hit almost 1400 and just over 39 miles an hour to take the win. So thank you, Zach, for leading me out.